Today, we're uncovering the hidden techniques and traditions that make Amish clothing nearly indestructible. From hand-felled seams to zero-waste sewing rooms, from natural dye recipes passed down for generations to fabric care methods that preserve every thread, you'll discover the real reasons why Amish garments are built to endure. Number 1. Learning to sew before learning to read. In Amish communities, sewing is as foundational as learning to speak. Girls begin learning the basics of sewing even before they fully master reading or writing. It's not unusual for a 5-year-old Amish child to be threading needles or hand-sewing simple seams under the careful watch of her mother or older sisters. It starts with basic tasks, learning how to knot the end of a thread properly, how to control small stitches, and how to align fabric edges correctly. Mistakes are not punished harshly, instead patience and persistence are emphasized. By the time these young girls can read their first Bible passages, their hands are already trained for precision and steadiness. As they grow older, projects gradually increase in complexity. Children move from hemming handkerchiefs to assembling aprons and basic work dresses. Every mistake, every crooked seam becomes a valuable lesson. Drafting patterns from scratch without store-bought guides is taught next. Amish girls learn how to measure the body, account for movement and growth, and adjust proportions, all with basic tools like a wooden ruler, chalk, and a lot of practice. They are taught to recognize fabric grain, understanding that cutting on the straight grain helps garments resist stretching and misshaping over time. By their late teens, most Amish young women are fully capable seamstresses. They can draft, cut, and sew an entire adult dress or a man's shirt from scratch, often without even sketching a formal plan. More impressively, they can do this with minimal waste, maximizing the use of fabric bolts to ensure there's material left over for future repairs or hand-me-down modifications. It's a skill set that's deeply tied to community life. It's not just about making clothing, it's about ensuring that every stitch is strong enough to handle years of work, worship, and daily living. Unlike modern fast fashion where speed is everything, Amish sewing teaches that the foundation of a garment's strength begins before the first stitch is ever placed. It begins with careful planning, material respect, and skilled hands trained from the earliest years of life. Number 2. How Amish fabric. Choices guarantee longevity. Fabric selection is not a casual decision in Amish households. It's the starting point for a garment's lifespan. Amish families typically buy fabric in large bolts, sometimes 8 to 15 yards at a time. This approach isn't just economical, it ensures that garments made for an entire family will match perfectly in color and texture, making future repairs almost invisible. Imagine patching a dress 5 years after it was sewn, and having the replacement panel blend so seamlessly that no one would even notice. That's the goal. Preferred materials are chosen with durability and practicality in mind. Mid-weight cotton and cotton poly blends dominate daily wear because they're strong enough to endure heavy use but still breathable for comfort. All-season wool steps in for outerwear, providing warmth, flexibility, and natural water resistance without needing synthetic coatings. Pure synthetics like polyester are used carefully, usually just for children's play clothes where ease of washing and fast drying are major advantages. Adults typically avoid synthetics, understanding that these fabrics, while convenient, don't wear or breathe as naturally as traditional fibers. Color choice is just as strategic. Dark, solid colors such as black, navy blue, forest green, deep burgundy, and plum are staples. These shades have practical benefits. They hide stains, resist sun fading, and require less frequent cleaning. They also comply with the Ordnung, the traditional set of guidelines that govern Amish life, which discourages showy or flashy attire. Beyond compliance, darker clothing simply lasts longer visually. A deep navy dress will look new far longer than a pale pastel that shows every dirt mark. The Amish also avoid the trap of novelty or trend-driven fabrics. They don't chase seasonal color palettes or texture fads. Instead, they focus on time-tested fabrics that have proven their resilience over generations. Before a single stitch is sewn, the quality and consistency of the fabric have already set the stage for a garment that could easily last 10, 20, or even 30 years with proper care. This deliberate approach to material selection based on both experience and tradition, is a key reason why Amish clothing outlasts almost everything you'll find in a modern store today. Number 3. Designs built for real-world stress. When Amish families design clothing, fashion trends are the last thing on their minds. Every aspect of construction is focused on strength, utility, and long-term wear. A perfect example of this is men's broad-fall trousers. Unlike pants with zippers, which often fail when metal teeth wear down or fabric gets caught, broad-fall trousers close with a sturdy flap and buttons. This eliminates one of the most common failure points in modern clothing and reduces abrasion against the fabric itself. Women's dresses showcase a different kind of ingenuity. Their cape and apron designs aren't just about modesty, they also serve a practical function. These layered garments reinforce the areas most exposed to friction and pressure, such as the shoulders and chest, where buggy seats and farm tools often rub against the fabric. By layering cloth strategically, the Amish essentially double the life expectancy of their most vulnerable garments, without adding unnecessary weight or bulk. Structural integrity is woven into every design choice. Collars and cuffs are cut on the bias rather than straight, allowing them to flex naturally without tearing or cracking over time. Shirts are intentionally made about 2 inches longer than necessary. As the hemline inevitably frays from repeated use and washing, it can simply be trimmed and re-hemmed. A smart detail that quietly adds years of usability to each shirt. Sleeves are often straight cut rather than pre-bent, or shaped to the elbow like modern dress shirts. While this design slightly limits arm flexibility, it eliminates key stress points that normally cause seams to rip over time. The trade-off is intentional, sacrificing a little comfort in favor of ensuring the garment survives years of active, rugged use. Every seam, hem, and fastening method is chosen with the daily life of a working farmer or homemaker in mind. Whether it's the repetitive motion of churning butter, hauling firewood, milking cows, or attending church, Amish clothing is built to move naturally with the body while absorbing stress without falling apart. It's a quiet, purposeful engineering that turns everyday garments into multi-decade investments. Number 4. Sewing techniques that outperform modern methods. In today's world of mass-produced clothing, seams are often the weakest part of the garment. Factories prioritize speed over strength, leading to poorly constructed clothes that fall apart after a few washes. Amish sewing techniques completely flip that idea. Their clothes are built to endure, starting with the use of hand-felled seams. These seams lie flat against the fabric, reducing friction when garments are worn, washed, or ironed. Unlike bulky or overlocked seams you see in most factory garments, a hand-felled seam is nearly invisible but much tougher. It distributes the fabric's stress evenly, which means less chance of ripping or warping over time. Tiny, staggered stitches are another critical feature. Amish seamstresses don't sew in straight rows with the same tension throughout. They intentionally vary the stitching slightly, which spreads the strain along the entire seam, rather than letting stress concentrate at one weak point. This staggering helps the seam absorb movement and pressure, making the join often stronger than the fabric itself. If the fabric eventually tears, it usually does next to the seam, not on it. Many Amish communities also replace buttons with hook and eye closures, especially for formal or church garments. Buttons, particularly brass or mother-of-pearl ones, are discouraged because they historically symbolized military pride, something at odds with Amish humility. Hook and eye closures are stitched using a doubled thread technique and locked after every 5 stitches. This careful method ensures that if one section of thread fails, the rest of the closure remains intact. Suit coats worn by Amish men have an ingenious hidden pleat system. Unlike mainstream vented jackets, which can't easily adjust size, these hidden pleats allow coats to be subtly let out or tightened based on the wearer's weight changes. After a harvest season when physical labor might cause weight loss, or after holiday feasts when some gain it back, the coat can be adjusted without expensive or complicated tailoring. Amish shirts also include diamond-shaped underarm gussets, an old tailoring technique that dramatically improves mobility without weakening the fabric. The diamond shape prevents the fabric from pulling or tearing when someone swings an axe, lifts heavy loads, or simply moves naturally through the day. Even pocket construction shows this attention to detail. Instead of sewing pockets directly onto the outer garment, Amish clothing features a hidden hitch, where the pocket bag attaches higher inside the garment. This way, the pocket lining, not the outer fabric, bears the weight of anything carried inside, whether tools, coins, or even small farm gadgets. Every detail in Amish sewing focuses on strengthening potential failure points. The goal is clear. If one part of the garment weakens, the rest of it still holds. You won't find random blowouts or seams giving way without warning. Amish clothes are built to be lived in, worked in, and passed down, not just worn and thrown away. Number 5, fabric care traditions that preserve lifespan. Even the best constructed clothing won't last if it's abused in the laundry room. That's why Amish families are just as serious about how they care for their garments as they are about how they sew them. Wash days are traditionally set for Mondays. This isn't random. It maximizes the number of daylight hours for drying clothes outdoors, crucial in humid areas where mildew could otherwise take hold. Unlike modern families who rely on aggressive washing machines and hot dryers, the Amish stick to gentler methods. Many still use classic Maytag wringer washers, often retrofitted with diesel or pneumatic motors. These machines agitate gently, avoiding the rough twisting and pulling that high-speed spin cycles inflict on seams and fabric fibers. Less stress during washing means less wear and tear. Soap is another key factor. Instead of harsh commercial detergents loaded with chemicals, Amish households typically use a homemade mix: shaved Fells naphtha soap, washing soda, and borax. This low-suds soap rinses out easily, preventing soap residue that can stiffen and weaken fabric over time. It's tough on dirt, but kind to fibers. Clotheslines are not just any rope strung between two poles. Amish families invest in stainless steel cables coated in vinyl. These cables don't wick moisture the way cotton ropes do, meaning that cuffs and seams dry faster and stay stronger. Shirts are hung upside down from the hems rather than by the shoulders. This way, the heavy yoke area dries last, preventing water from pooling and stressing the most critical seams. In winter, freezing nights are actually welcomed. Garments left outside freeze dry naturally. Ice crystals form inside the fibers, lifting dirt without harsh scrubbing. It's an old method that cleans thoroughly while being incredibly gentle on the fabric. Ironing is done carefully too. Sad irons, weighing around 6 pounds each, are heated on propane stoves. Unlike modern steam irons, these old irons use pure weight and heat to press clothes flat. Steam can scorch or overstretch fibers if mishandled. Heavy dry irons avoid that risk entirely. Every aspect of Amish fabric care, from the soap recipe to how shirts are hung, protects the structural integrity of the garment. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is exposed to unnecessary heat, chemicals, or mechanical stress. It's a slow, mindful system, and the reward is clear. Garments that stay strong, beautiful, and wearable for decades. Number 6, zero waste philosophy in clothing production. Amish clothing production wastes nothing. In fact, their sewing rooms are models of extreme efficiency that modern sustainable designers could learn from. Every scrap of cloth left after cutting a garment is immediately sorted into one of 3 bins: patch scraps for clothing repairs, quilt piecing scraps, and rag rug materials. Even something as small as basting thread isn't wasted. After fittings are complete, basting threads are unwound carefully, rewound onto spools, and reused for the next project. Saving tiny bits of thread might seem extreme, but when you multiply it across dozens of garments per family, the economy adds up quickly. Alterations are handled with precision tools. Instead of fabric scissors, Amish seamstresses use single-edge razor blades to open seams. Razors cut cleanly without pulling at the surrounding fibers, reducing the risk of fraying and extending fabric life. When a garment reaches the end of its wearable life, its salvageable panels are removed and transformed. Dress panels might become sturdy aprons. Wool buggy blankets, after years of heavy use, are brushed to raise their nap again and then cut into heavy capes for winter chores. Leather scraps from worn-out harnesses are patched into gloves. Even straw hats aren't thrown away. Holes are patched by reweaving split cane into the damaged sections. This zero-waste mindset isn't just about frugality. It reflects a deep cultural respect for material blessings. Nothing that can be used again is casually discarded. It's stewardship at the smallest level, turning yesterday's scraps into tomorrow's clothing, warmth, or protection. Number 7. Dyeing, storage, and seasonal clothing cycles. Color and fiber maintenance is another art form in Amish households. They rely heavily on natural dyes such as indigo, weld, goldenrod, and logwood. These dyes penetrate deeply into the fabric, creating rich colors that fade slowly and gracefully over decades. Dye vats are filled with rainwater because minerals in hard well water can alter dye chemistry. Every dyeing session is carefully logged, noting fiber type, water pH, temperature, and dye concentration, allowing recipes to be duplicated exactly years later. Instead of replacing faded garments, Amish families often re-dye them in batches every few seasons. A navy dress that's faded from sun exposure can be overdyed with logwood to create a deep black gown suitable for winter church services. Garments are stored with the same careful attention. After the warmer months, clothes are folded, not hung, and placed into cedar chests. Cedar protects against moths while keeping humidity low. Cedar planks are rescored annually to refresh their natural oils. Each chest includes a printed inventory sheet listing every garment, when it was made, who wore it, and any repairs performed. Buttons and fasteners are stored with each garment, so replacements are always close at hand. When chests are full, excess garments move into linen-lined pie safes with punch tin doors that allow airflow but block rodents. Wool coats are brushed with horsehair brushes before storage to remove sweat salts that might otherwise attract moths. This entire cycle, from initial dyeing to end-of-season storage, reflects a deep commitment to clothing as a long-term investment. Amish garments aren't meant for one season. They are made, maintained, re-dyed, and preserved to serve across generations.